Hey guys, I'm John Setzler. Welcome back to the Kamado Joe cooking channel. There's this guy over in Sweden. His name is Bjorn Andersson. And if any of you guys follow along on the Kamado Joe Grilling, Smoking and More Facebook group, you'll see, I mean, you've seen Bjorn's stuff. He's amazing. He's just never ceases to amaze me with the food that he turns out on his Kamado Joe grills. And he recently posted a photograph and a recipe of a chicken curry stew that just made my mouth water. So I asked Bjorn if he minded if we shared his recipe. I have his blessing, so we are going to do Bjorn's chicken curry stew recipe. I'm going to tweak it just a little bit. I'm going to change a few minor things around, but this stuff looks good, so let's get started. I've lit a fire in the center of the firebox of my Kamado Joe Classic here, and I've got the Divide and Conquer flexible cooking rack in place with the accessory rack in the low position, and I'm going to put heat deflectors on that. But before I do that, I'm going to put a couple of chunks of cherry wood in here, just a really light smoking wood to get a little bit of smoke rolling. And then I'm going to set my half moon heat deflectors back in place here on the accessory rack. And then I'll set both halves of the grill grate back on top. And I'm going to let the temperature come up to about 250 degrees. In order to get up to 250, I'm just going to give the bottom vent maybe a ½ inch. And I'll set the top vent over here maybe about halfway between the first two marks there. And we'll let it slowly come up to temperature. If I need to warm it up, I'll open here. Or if I need to cool it down, we'll close it up. Okay, I've got one of my cast iron porcelain lined pans here, and I've got 2 chicken breasts that weigh a combined about 2 pounds, and that's about where you're going to want to start. I've got 1 onion that I've coarsely chopped. I've got 2 whole cloves of garlic. I've got 1 red bell pepper that I've cut the top off of, and 1 green bell pepper that I've cut the top off of. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil over this stuff, and I'm gonna grind on just a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and we're gonna take this out to the grill and we're gonna let this stuff bathe in the smoke for about an hour. And I forgot one very important thing. I've got 1 serrano pepper here that I've just sliced lengthwise. We're going to lay that in there and let that get some smoke also. Okay, after our grill comes up close to temperature and it's got a nice bit of smoke rolling, we're going to set that pan right here in the middle. And like I said, we're not going to fully cook that chicken. We're just going to put some smoke to it because we're going to come back and dice all this stuff up to put our stew together. But we want to bring some smoke from the Kamado Joe. So like I said, we're going to go for about an hour here. We've been going just a little over an hour here on this stuff, and as you can see, it's started to roast just a little bit and it's taken on a good bit of smoke. So we're going to take this stuff off the grill. I'm going to take it inside and I'm going to dice these onions and peppers and chicken and the serrano pepper and the garlic cloves that are in there. I'm going to dice those, and then we're going to go to the Dutch oven. So I'll meet you back in the kitchen. I've taken everything that we had in our original pan and I've diced it up kind of coarsely there, and we're going to dump that into a Dutch oven. And I'm going to use an enameled Dutch oven here rather than a regular cast iron because this is going to be quite acidic and I don't want it to take my seasoning off. So from here, I've got 1 can, which is about a 15-ounce can or so, of crushed tomatoes. I've taken 1 cube of chicken bouillon and dissolved it in 1 cup of hot water. And then we're going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of curry powder. And I'm going to give that a good mix. And I'm going to cover this, and we're going to take it and put it back on the grill at 250 degrees and let it simmer for an hour or 2. I'm still cruising along here at 250 in the Kamado Joe Classic. So we're just going to set this Dutch oven in here, and I'm going to come back after about an hour or so, and we're going to have a look at that and determine if we need to add any more liquid to it. So we'll be back in an hour. We've been simmering here for about an hour and a half, and I think we're about ready to move on to the next phase here. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. Smells fantastic. So let's move on. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to stir in 1 cup of cream. And then we're going to add salt to taste. A little more black pepper to taste. And I'm going to stir that up, and we're going to let that simmer here for just a few more minutes, maybe about 10 or 15 minutes with the lid on. I'm going to close that up, and we will be back in just a few minutes. Okay, our smoked chicken curry stew is ready, so I'm going to take this off. We're going to take it inside and let it cool for a little bit, and then we're going to have a taste of that. Okay guys, I've let that cool a little bit, and let's have a taste. This has a beautiful, beautiful curry flavor, and you can feel a little bit of the heat from that serrano coming in behind it. If you don't like the hotter peppers, you can definitely use any kind of pepper you like here. You could use a jalapeno, you could even use a cayenne. You could just use anything you might like in this, and wow, that's a fantastic recipe. This would also be great served over rice or served over toast or any other way that you might serve a stew. So thanks Bjorn for this recipe. I appreciate you allowing me to make that on video, and it's just fantastic, and I look forward to seeing a lot more of your cooks online. So until next time, this is John Setzler with Kamado Joe Cooking Channel.